Hello, my name is Robin Kay. I'm a professor at UOIT in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. And today I'm going to talk about blogging and its use in secondary school mathematics. Here's a brief overview of the presentation. I'm going to give some background on the current state of mathematics in education, talk briefly about past and future pedagogy, and the potential of blogging in mathematics at the secondary school level. I'll then go over the purpose of the study, our method, the results we found, some of the key points in the discussion, and opportunities for future research. Mathematics is considered an important subject worldwide, and there has been a relatively recent surge in pushing STEM. However, students are having difficulty with mathematics, not just in Ontario, where over the last 5 years, results have plateaued or decreased slightly. This is a multifaceted problem and there's no simple solution. However, this study is going to look at a couple of key areas. These areas are communication in mathematics and the ability to problem solve. According to SCAMP, there are at least two types of learning in mathematics, instrumental and relational learning. Now, instrumental learning refers to memorization of facts and procedures. Relational thinking, on the other hand, refers to selecting different strategies, problem solving, addressing more complex problems. Now, clearly, facts and concepts and problem solving are required. You can't just problem solve. You have to have facts and basic knowledge to do that. However, there seems to be an overemphasis on the instrumental type of pedagogy. It does increase self-confidence in students, and they can get a sense that they really understand mathematics because they memorize the facts, have tests, they do well, and there appears to be a quick learning curve. However, a number of authors argue that instrumental learning does not allow students to develop deeper understanding of mathematical content. In other words, they stop at instrumental learning. There's some evidence to suggest that students who follow an instrumental learning regime are less able to problem solve and think mathematically, and have not developed sufficient mathematical learning strategies to address more complex problems. In other words, they need more opportunities to communicate and problem solve. Blogging has the potential to enhance communication and problem solving, and they have worked well in higher education. The question is, can blogging work for secondary students or younger students? So we're investigating the use of blogging in grade 9 to support communication and learning of mathematics. This was a small study with 27 students, 18 males, 7 females, 2 that did not identify their gender. The 13 to 16 years old. They come from a large urban area. There are over 1,600 students in the school, 400 in the grade 9 level. 5% of the school has been identified of having ESL, and 17% with special needs. The average income is about $80,000 Canadian, which would make this a middle class area. So there were 4 data collection tools, one a 6-question Likert scale looking at student attitudes towards blogging. There were also open-ended questions identifying students' attitudes toward the blogging process. There was a pre and post performance test, and there was analysis of the blog posts. So this was a pretty standard comparison procedure. There was a pretest, a treatment, and the treatment consisted of a regular lesson or set of lessons and instruction plus 2 blogging questions to be completed during class or at home. After the unit was finished, there was a post-test. Each unit, and there were 3 of them, consisted somewhere between 2 and 3 weeks in time. And then there was a comparison between post-test and pre-test scores. In addition, at the end of the 3 units, students were given an attitudes towards blogging survey, and the blogging responses were analyzed as well. So let's take a look at the results. Students, or about 60% of the students, agreed or strongly agreed that the blogging site was easy to access and navigate. They were confident in sharing their ideas in the blog and they enjoyed using it. So the overall use of the blogging site was rated relatively positively. However, only a third of the students thought that the resource was useful with respect to their learning, and very few used the blogging resource on their own time. You can see only 7%. In terms of the specific blog analysis, an overview indicated there were 138 blog posts over 6 questions, 3 units, so 5 posts per student, which means less than 1 post per question. So not all students posted on each question. However, 3 of the 6 blogs had discussions where there was strong peer-to-peer interaction, so there was something significant going on. They weren't simply superficial posts. In terms of pre-post test scores, as I said, there were 3 units, one on slope, one on linear relationships, and one on measurement. Notice that the slope and the measurement topics showed significant increases. Those are large differences according to Cohen's d. There was no difference with respect to the linear relationships unit. So how do we sum this up? Well, I would say that the attitudes indicated a lukewarm response to blogging. They liked using it. They didn't mind it. They thought it was easy to use, but not particularly useful. There was a limited response from students and involvement, although there were some discussions where there was more meaningful involvement. Now, the teacher was new to blogging, and so that may indicate that they didn't quite know the kind of questions that really would make sense. And question type needs to be looked at so that it is authentic and meaningfully related to the topic at hand, not just an add-on or something for students to do. It has to be linked to the curriculum, intrinsically linked. And we have to also consider there are younger students here. So they're learning basic skills, and maybe blogging isn't something that is used to discuss basic skills. Blogging, which was successful in higher education, may be better for more higher level concepts. So you have to keep aware of that. And if you're posting questions, they have to be worthy of discussion and meaningful reflection. Finally, the blogging might be best done outside of class as a homework activity. Students can simply talk to each other during class, but outside of class is where the blogging would have a natural and authentic purpose. Blog posts, well, maybe they were good. We have some response that indication that 3 of the 6 discussions showed a genuine, meaningful exchange of ideas. However, there was a limited response from most students with an average of 5 responses. That's less than 1 response per question. Knowledge change? Well, yes, but we don't know whether the knowledge change was due to the blogging, and it's probably unlikely that it was given the low response to blogging. So we saw a significant difference between pre and post test. However, there seems to be other factors, obviously teacher instruction, that are likely to contribute to change. So what about future research? Well, we need better training for the teacher in terms of integrating meaningful questions into the mathematical curriculum. We need better training for students. I didn't mention that students were given some guidance about how to post, but they need more reflection on how to post and more feedback on posting so that they can become better at it. You don't instantly become good at posting uh, a blog response or and being involved in a discussion. There has to be authentic, meaningful questions. So a lot of focus has to be on meaningful questions, and performance, if you're going to assess it, needs to be directly linked to the blogging content and that activity. I would also advise that there's interview and focus group data collected so that we can understand why students participate or don't participate. The bottom line is blogging actually is a more involved process than we had thought, and there needs to be a lot of preparation involved and thought put into this technique for it to be potentially successful.